Today we're going to install a slipper clutch into my 07 600RR. I got a used Yoyodyne slipper clutch, and this is going to be the how-to on installing the slipper clutch. The first thing you need to do is remove your fairings from the motorcycle. In my case I have race fairings, so I removed the upper, the lower, the tank cover, and prop the tank up primarily so that I can get to this crankshaft position sensor cable and remove this connector right here. It's a black 2-wire connector that comes down to this cable that's attached to the right side engine cover. Once we disconnect that, we're going to remove all these bolts and the crankcase cover. Remove this clutch cable mounting bracket, and then swing the clutch cable out, and then you need to twist this a little bit right here, the clutch lever, in order to remove the crankcase. You also need to be careful, there's a washer in there on the idle gear, I think. That you need to be careful that there's a little thrust washer in there, that you don't want to drop that into the oil pan. Alright, I got all the bolts removed from the cover. I've got it loosened up. You take something and you just lightly pry on these little tabs, a little at a time, to work it loose. There's some dowel pins, keeps the cover on there pretty tight. You can kind of just loosen it up ahead of time. This is the idle gear and the thrust washer that I was referring to be careful not to drop into the oil pan. The manual recommends draining the oil first from the motorcycle, but I don't think that's necessary. I just put a little oil pan, you'll get a few drops come out, no big deal. And we have this connector already loosened up, and the cover is removed. Next, we want to remove the clutch pressure plate by removing these 5 bolts in a crisscross pattern. Alright, I have all the clutch spring bolts removed. So next we remove the pressure plate and the clutch discs. It's important that we remove these in order, and that you keep them in the original order. So what I'm going to do is I have new clutch discs that I'm going to install with the slipper, but I am going to lay these out in order so that I'll have a reference. Here we have all of our clutch discs laid out in order. You can see in the pan here, that's the way they came out. The one on top here is the last one that came out. And I saved here the judder spring and the spring seat are still in the clutch basket. They're a lot smaller. I wanted to show you. Let me get that zoomed in there. So we have yet to remove this judder spring. These are the last 2 things in there, and spring seat. The judder spring is kind of concave. You can kind of see it's not exactly flat. And then the last thing that goes in there is that spring seat. So we have these 2 items pulled out right here. Next, we want to break this center nut loose. It's staked down. It was advised to me to use this clutch holder tool available from Motion Pro. So I have that clamped on there and locked against this rear set foot peg, and then just use a 30mm socket to break this loose. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to clean the shaft off and the threads off with some brake cleaner. This will get the oil off that and get it good and clean when we put some Loctite on the nut, the center nut. make sure it sticks on good. This big washer comes off the back of the stock clutch center basket. This needs to go back on. This is the, like I said, this is the stock OEM washer. We'll place this back on here. Also, since I'm installing new clutch discs, what I've done is I've taken the new clutch discs and I've coated them with oil first. You want to get a good coating of oil on those. You don't want to install them dry. You want to make sure everything's got a good coating of oil on it first. So I'm going to clean this off and install this washer, and then we'll move on to the next step. On there, there's some little ball bearings. I'll take a close up here in a second that you can see that fit in there. So that's what allows the clutch to slip. It has these ramps, and as you put back pressure on the clutch, it ramps up. These little ball bearings can be tricky to get in there when you start turning the thing sideways to mount. So this is how it works. And then you can see the little ball bearings that I've already placed. They're just loose in there, right here. And as you can see, if I turn this sideways to mount it on there, it's probably going to fall off, most definitely. So what I've done is I've made some small little plastic tubes, and what I'm going to do is pre-assemble this, so that I'm going to take this backing plate, dust in there, make sure it's good clean. I'm going to put this, pre-assemble it in there, hold it together, turn it over, and I've got these little tubes that I made. You can come up with something. Some people use a little tube and a bolt. I didn't have any bolts, but these tubes are a little bit tight on these bolt shafts. So I have a couple of these that I'm just going to place on there like this, so that way it'll stay together. So that'll pre-assemble that. Next, we're going to place this on the shaft. There's the washer that we installed. Don't forget that. Let me put this on there, like so. So it's got the bearings in there. Those aren't real tight, so I want to be careful with that. Next, we want to put on the washers and the spider ring. There is one washer you leave out from the stock clutch. It's the one washer that was on the center nut. It has writing on it. It says out MM4. Zoom in, you can see this. You want to leave that one out. What you put back in, you put this one back on here. Put that back on. You put the spider spring. And then this nut, it comes with the kit. This is not the OEM nut. The spider spring is also not from the OEM clutch. That came with the kit. I cleaned this nut. I'm going to put a little Loctite on it. And then the torque value is 94 foot-pounds or 127 newton meters.